Good evening. I'm Lukey3262 from theshavingcadre.com. Doing a night shave today. Looking at somewhere around 48 hours plus since my last shave. Got a little lazy over the weekend and just didn't get one done, and it was Monday, so I needed to get to work and I didn't feel like shaving. So the tools today, I'm going to start out with the razor first. I'm going to be using a Dubl Duck Wonderedge. This baby came to me pretty much new old stock. Doesn't really have any flaws on it really at all. It still has that really cool swirl pattern that's on the tang of a lot of them. It's kind of hard to show on video, but it's a cool razor. Finished on the Black Arkansas. Then I'm using a vintage brush tonight, which came to me in, I think I got it in a lot at some point. Came in a box too. This is a genuine Rubberset Pure Badger with a really cool see-through base. I love it. Amber. Very cool. Another vintage item I'm using for the shave tonight is vintage Lentheric from the 1920s or 30s. Comes in a cool Art Deco box. Still has a little bit of the logo left. I think I've shaved on it about 4 or 5 times, but it's time to get to it. Lentheric was picked up by Yardley at one point. So these Yardley and Lentheric share a history, of course, further down the line than when this was produced, because Lentheric was in its prime back in the 1920s. So some Lentheric, and then another vintage. I'm going to go with some Osage Rub. It's right around bedtime. Don't want something that's too offensive. And then I'm going to use the Russian Tet-A-Tet Balm to finish off. It's kind of nice, mellow, manly scent that won't keep the wife up all night. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get lather in, or rather building my lather, loading. I think I'm going to load this thing for a little bit over a minute tonight because it's been sitting fallow for about 2 months or so. It's an old puck of soap. You usually want to do yourself a favor with these really old pucks, which this one's probably every bit of 90 years old, maybe 80. It might be 80, closer to 80 maybe. But still, it's a very old puck of soap. They get very dried out and they do not like to break down. And so whenever you're trying to wake them up, sometimes it's a really great idea to just overload your brush and sort it out on the back end with some water. That's been my experience with several, and it doesn't even have to be a vintage soap. It could be a newer soap. Some of the newer soaps, if they're a few years old or just haven't seen the light of day in a while, sometimes they really are hard to wake up. And not the fault of the soap, it's just environment, whatever's around them. So what's going on with Lukey? Not a ton. Had a really pleasant weekend. Got out to some local parks in our new community. Really cool places to visit. Look at that. Oh, very pasty. So visited some really nice parks. Really enjoyed ourselves. Sunday we took it really easy. Went to church. Did a bunch of shopping. Got some clothes for the boy. Did some more mushroom hunting. And then today for work, we kind of took it easy and had a nice dinner tonight. We had I got the barbecue pit going, did some deer steaks, and then I fried some of the morel mushrooms that we've been finding, and some salad. Perfect early spring dinner. The only thing that was missing is a little bit of Missouri crappie or some catfish or even some turkey. It is turkey season here in Missouri, and I am definitely planning on getting out and doing a little turkey hunting this weekend. I usually try to take 3 or 4 days off during turkey season, rather. But this year it wasn't in the cards with the move, and still way behind at work, so I'm trying to play catch up right now. But next year, I will definitely be taking some extra time off for turkey season. It's actually my favorite hunting season personally. I really enjoy deer season because I spend it with my family, and I like dove season because I can get out with my brother usually, and we hunt a little dove. We don't do real well. We're not great shots with the shotguns, but we have a good time getting out there walking together. And I enjoy going out for squirrel as well, but definitely the most enjoyable of the seasons for me is spring turkey, when the turkeys are talking and active, and it's all about deception. You're that lusty hen that's looking for a tom, and you're just trying to talk him out of the girls that he's with so he can come spend some time with you. And sometimes you get lucky. Most years I don't do very good. Most years I'm just giving a donation to the Missouri Department of Conservation, and that's fine. I still just personally just really enjoy getting out in the woods. As you can tell, this Lentheric is just working out beautifully. It's a wonderful soap. This old brush, it's got a little bit of scritch to it. It is a pure badger, but the more I use it, I'm sure it's going to soften up on me. It's probably only got 3 or 4 uses in on it. It needs some more work. All right. Awesome. Lentheric is a really interesting brand. They produce some really interesting sets back in the day. If you look at the vintage advertising from the 20s and 30s for Lentheric, you're talking the highest of high class guys would buy Lentheric. It's kind of like the Fougere Royales or the Yardleys. These are the items that you would get Dad for, Father's Day or for Christmas. Something that Dad might look at and be like, I'm never going to use that, And that's why some of these things got handed down. They got put in a drawer and never used because that gift just wasn't, was almost too high class for the guy, maybe. That's my thought anyway. That's why I think there's a few more of these sets out there. But then again, I think Lentheric had a shorter lifespan as a shaving soap. And thus just isn't as well known. And as I said in my last video, where I shaved with spruce, Risley spruce, don't be afraid of these vintage soaps. They might be a little old, a little dusty, might smell a little tallowy. but the great majority of them have just phenomenal performance. Now, just like this one, very slick, very cushiony, very comfortable. All right, and so in the books goes pass number 1. Excellent first pass. And if you see over my left shoulder here, I've got a new shaving towel. It's got the new Shaving Cadre logo on it right there. And my longtime avatar, Inigo Montoya. I haven't really talked about Inigo or the Princess Bride movie on my shaves thus far. Those of us of a certain age, and even younger folks, also enjoy The Princess Bride. And if you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic flick. Full of cliche and awesome quotable verses. But definitely a family favorite of ours and a personal favorite. I chose Inigo as my avatar shortly after I started straight razor shaving because, you know, he has 2 big cuts on either side of his face from the Six-Fingered Man. As a result of handling a blade whenever he was young and didn't know how to use it. And so I thought it was fitting for him to be my avatar whenever I first picked up a straight razor, considering I would often cut myself here and here. So just kind of came to be. Razor is shaving phenomenally, by the way. And I am kind of detecting with the Lentheric today a little bit of a powdery lavender scent to it. I mean, you shouldn't expect many of these vintage soaps, you know, especially if they're over 50 years old, to have much of a scent left in them. But it might surprise you once they get a little water in them. Some of them really do kind of open up a little bit. Like this one, you can really smell it. Though, just like vintage Yardley, you can really start smelling it once it's been used for a while. Now we can talk about Dubl Ducks a little bit too. This being the Wonderedge. It's a great shaver, probably from the 1960s. I'm not sure 100% on the date of this razor. I'm not a Dubl Duck expert. But we do know that they were made in Zollingen, and there's a number of manufacturers that produce them, because there wasn't per se a Dubl Duck Works or any particular factory that was making them, as far as I know. Now, they were known throughout the barber industry for their phenomenal quality, and they were fairly inexpensive for their time. Prettier than most. And from the barbers that I've spoken to that actually use them in their shops, and I've spoken to several barbers that were shaving back in the 1950s, and 60s, those folks, they really preferred to use the wedges, the satin wedge. And that's over the hollow ground versions. It looks like my old Badger brush finally shed a hair. I've been shaving with this thing 4 times now. I think it's only shed 1 or 2 hairs since I've had it. But that is totally to be expected, considering its age. But what I have found is, if the brushes are vintage, and they are used, which, oh my goodness, what a faux pas to shave with a used brush. But you can do it. Soak them in a little, well, clean them really well with some good soap and water first, of course. And then you can soak them in a little bit of diluted peroxide or some alcohol, whatever your choice is. For trying to disinfect, but I've got several brushes, vintage brushes that I've used, but what I've found is the brushes that aren't used that much or weren't used that much, they're the ones that aren't going to have loose and falling out hairs, because I think, as I discussed on a previous video, well, maybe I did not, cleaning video, these brushes, they tend to lose bristles when they have a lot of buildup around their base. And as that base tightens up, it frays those fibers down by the base, and then you end up losing hairs. I mean, a lot of these things are set in resin or rubber, hence Rubberset. And if you just do a minimal job cleaning your brushes from time to time with a little dish soap and hot water and a good scrub, you can save on that. At least that's my belief. Now back to the razors, the Dubl Duck razors. One of the things about the Dubl Duck razors that a lot of folks don't realize is how many different variations they had on each individual razor. They had the gold ducks in 5/8, 4/8, 6/8, 7/8. They also had the Dubl Duck lifetimes in 5/8 and 6/8, which those are the Reapers. Those are really cool. The Dubl Duck satin wedge, satin edge, Wonder Edge, Wonder Wedge. They've got all different varieties. Very collectible, and that's why people buy them for such big money. Now, I've never shaved with a bad Dubl Duck. I will say they're not the most amazing razors out there. They do shave really well. Are they worth the extra money? Well, I'll just say what my dad used to say, or still says rather. It's all in what a guy likes. You know, we've got some members on the shavingcadre.com that, you know, they like a used razor, like myself. There's some folks that prefer new old stock razors. There's some folks that really prefer a brand new razor that nobody's ever used. You know? But these Dubl Ducks, they are pretty. I mean, you're paying for their beauty, their scales. Do they shave just as good as any other Zollingen blade? For the most part. At least I think so. I've got a little bit of, I don't know, I've always had a little bit of an acne issue, but I've got a little bit of a breakout going on right now in this area, so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take it easy with the straight tonight, and I'm going to use my new Supply Pro on a 1 to clean up around my mouth. It needs to get some more use in. My buddy Scuttle Soap got this for me as a gift, and I better use it. Dialed it back down from a 1. I had it all the way up to a 4 last shave. And the shave got a little intense. It was good though. Wow. On a 1, the blade feel on this thing is basically imperceptible. Plenty of residual slickness on the blade, or on the skin yet from the Lentheric. Awesome. That's a really nice cleanup razor. If I'm just going to go to this from my straight, that's awesome. Very little blade gap on a 1. I'm going to play with this a lot more before I give it a definitive. Of course, my opinion doesn't really matter. It's up to the individual trying out the razor, but before I give my views on that new razor, I definitely need to use it a whole lot more. But I will tell you, from my limited use of the Black Label blades, they're fantastic. If those fit in any standard injector, I do know that they don't fit in the PAL injectable. I know you can't, adjustable, excuse me. You can't slide that plastic tool into that to open it up, but it does appear to work with the Schick adjustable. I still need to give that a try. We're gonna have a little witch hazel today, as always. A little Thayer's cucumber. Very nice. Maybe just a little bit on my neck I couldn't get today for some reason. No biggie. What's going on this week? Not too much, just a standard week. The shaving cadre is gonna get back to normal business with all the folks coming back from Vegas. I think most of them are back today. I'm sure we're gonna have some member calls, some Zooms. Hopefully we'll be doing a Zoom tomorrow for the game night, and hopefully we'll be having one for the Sunday night Old Guys Club. Yeah, back to business as usual. For us, trying to get out with my little boy out in the woods as much as we can with the nice weather. Man, the stopper on this whole thing's pretty well stuck. Woo, there we go. I think we were, hasn't been used since I moved from the old house, which has been about a month. Now on these old bottles that have these big openings for these decanters, I just use my thumb. Just stick my thumb over it until there's just a little bit of air left, and then just shake it until you get what you need. But that's one of my things. I love these vintage decanters. There's not too much like Osage Rub. Wonderful stuff. Sit that stopper on there nice and light so I can get it off there next time. And then I'll go ahead and finish with my Tet-A-Tet, which, as far as I know, is unobtainium. Fantastic Soviet era balm. If you want to smell like a Soviet gentleman. Not that there's too many of them, but my father-in-law is definitely a gentleman. He's a wonderful guy. I like him a lot. Wish I spoke more Russian to be able to talk to him more, but pick that up for me. And that does it, guys. Knocked my shave out of the park. Again, I used vintage Lentheric, some Tet-A-Tet, some Osage Rub, which is fantastic stuff. If you really love menthol, this is the way to go. We used our Supply single edge for cleanup. My Dubl Duck Wonderedge. And the vintage Rubberset Badger. As always, please check out theshavingcadre.com. Visit my companions, their YouTube channels as well. Handlebarber Dave, Rich Shaves, Spider Shaves, Nurse Dave's Shaving World, Long Haul Tanker, the list goes on. Lots of us out there. Bill M doing convex honing. But yeah, check out our website, theshavingcadre.com. Check out our pages. And please, if you enjoyed shaving with me tonight, please like and subscribe. As always, I guess I'll shave with you guys later.